Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another piano tutorial. My name's Kyle and today we are doing Coloratura. And just a few things here at the beginning of the video. First is this is a mix of the studio and live version. I'll be going over a few different things that Chris does play in the live versions. And real quickly, I just want to thank a few people who helped with this video and this process. Number one, Gabriel from Singapore. I learned this entire song pretty much based off his version and just kind of made a few tweaks here and there. But this definitely would not be possible without him. So huge thank you, Gabriel. I also want to thank my buddy Ethan, who ran Coloratura through an AI stem track separation program. So I had him do that, and he gave me the isolated piano stems. And although it's not perfect, it's definitely listenable, and there were quite a few things in there that I actually picked out that I couldn't hear in just the regular studio track. So it was definitely very helpful in this lesson. So huge thank you to Ethan, and I will leave a link to the piano stem down below if you want to check it out for yourself. And the last thing I want to mention is I will have chapters listed down below in the description where you can just jump around if you want to, take a break and come back, or you just want to skip ahead to a part. Please feel free to do that. I'm going to make this lesson as short as I possibly can, but it's probably going to be close to an hour. So I'm going to do my best to teach every part and as quickly and as efficient as I possibly can. That being said, this song is quite challenging, especially for beginner players, so I highly recommend just learning it part by part, slowly stacking them up until you have the entire song, almost like different puzzle pieces that fit together at the end. And no matter how much you want to tear your hair out or just give up, definitely don't, because this song is very rewarding and satisfying to play. Alright, so I want to start off with the right hand riff first for the intro. We're going to be up here, here's middle C. We're going to be on B, D, G, A, B. Making use of all four fingers and our thumb. And we're going to start at this top B here, and we're just going to walk our way down. Just like that. Once we get down here, we're going to go back up to D and then G. But instead of continuing, we're going to go back down to D. So D, G, D. Then from here, we're going to play A, G, A, and then just finish off the riff by walking back down. B, A, G, D, B. So from the beginning. Then we repeat that same thing once again with a small change. So we go up to D before we played G and then D again. This time we're going to go right up to F sharp and then G. And then from here it's the same thing, just A, G, A, and then B, A, G, D, B. So recap that first part of the right hand. If you have trouble using your pinky or some of your fingers, this is a great exercise to help with that. All right, second part of that riff, we're just going to shift things down a bit. So we're going to move down to A, D, F sharp, G, A. Same pattern here, so start at the top, make your way down, make your way back up. Once we get that F sharp, we go back down to D. So just like before we did D, G, D, this time we're just doing D, F sharp, D. After that, we play G, F sharp, G, and then we just start again at the A and work our way all the way down. I'm sorry about that. But it's the same pattern there, we're just kind of shifting notes a bit. The second time around it does change though. So just at the end there we have a change. So we start from the top, work our way down. Everything's the same right here. So once we play G, F sharp, G, we have a change. So So all it is just A, G, F sharp, G, A, and then from there it leads us right back into that first part with the B. Alright, so recapping that second half of that riff. Alright, so left hand for this part, it's pretty simple, just a few different chords. First chord is just G, D, G. And we're just playing that with that first part of the riff. And we're just doing it on 4 measures. So pretty much when you're playing this top note in your right hand or the bottom note, just counting along, it'd be like 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're just playing that chord like that. So 8 times roughly. And then from there, once we change the right hand riff, left hand chord changes to A, D, F sharp, and then same thing. This time though, when you repeat that riff, left hand A is going to move up to a B. Then once again, go back to the beginning and repeat. This time, when you play that first riff a second time, we're just going to move this D in the left hand up to E. So I've got to mention right here, as we lead into the verse, the right hand riff. So instead of going down to D and then B, we're going to go down to D and then play E. And just leave off on that. So just like that. Alright, so there are a few variations for the live version. Number 1 in the left hand, you'll notice I also did it in my cover, is instead of playing the full chord, like in the studio version, Chris will play the lower note and then the top note and just kind of bounce back and forth between the two. So something like this. So there's one variation right there. Something else he does, what she does with a lot of songs live, is he'll play this lower thumb note with that top note. So pretty much with the chords as well. So for example, I kind of have a hard time doing it. I don't want it to be sloppy, but you can do that as well. It's just kind of play that left hand thumb with that 4 count. So that's something else he does live as well. And that's pretty much it for the live variations for the intro. All right, so before we move on to the transitional riff, I just want to show you kind of the 5 main chords we have throughout the song. As if you learn these and memorize these, it'll make different points in the song a little bit easier for you, because these repeat a lot throughout the song. So starting off left hand, very easy, just D octaves. So right hand chords are going to be A, D, F sharp, A. Second chord, A sharp, D, E, G. Third chord, we're going to go back to that first chord, just make one small change though. This lower A moves up to a B. And your fourth chord, we have C, D, G, A. Your fifth chord, just move this C down to B, so B, D, G, A. And then we do have a sixth chord, but it's actually just a second chord we played, just the A sharp, D, E, G. So really it's just 5 chords, and then we repeat the second chord for that sixth. So you're not moving around a whole lot in your right hand, it's pretty simple. So one more time to recap, there's your first chord, second chord, third chord, fourth, fifth, and then the sixth is just once again that second chord. And then from there, that just loops. Same thing. Alrighty, now I'm going to play the transitional riff for you, and then we'll go ahead and learn it. All right, so you can see from that demonstration that we're just going through those 6 chords here. That's why I wanted you to learn those first, get that out of the way, because now once you have those chords memorized, all you're doing with the right hand, and not all because it is a little complicated, but you're just hitting the chord and then just going from the top note down and just repeating that. One thing I'll say here too is I myself have trouble with this quite a bit. You can see in my cover too, probably it just doesn't sound as, perfect as it would with, like Chris playing it. However, Chris does have the rest of the band playing with him. He's got backing tracks, so it's easier to hide some mistakes, I find myself, specifically with this chord here, I tend to hit my pinky and that 4th finger there at the same time. So just kind of practice slowly moving throughout the chords and just, slowly going down. But if you can't get this part, don't worry, because I struggled as well. So that being said, so that's kind of the right hand, is you're just hitting those chords and then just going from top to bottom. Left hand's very simple. You're just hitting D octaves every single time. And then in between the transitions, you're just hitting a single A note. So we're going to ignore the crossover notes for a second and just focus on this part here. So for example, starting off, it would be So you can see right there, I have a hard time just doing that alone. So it definitely takes a lot of practice for this part. But I recommend, again, maybe starting just here. And then once you kind of have this memorized, you can move over to the crossover notes that I'm going to look at right now. All right, so moving on to the crossover notes. We're going to ignore the left hand Ds for now. Just focus on that right hand chord and then what notes we're playing with that chord. The good news is it can be a little confusing, but if you just kind of take note of what your right hand's playing, that's showing you what your left hand crossover should be doing. So, for example, start off with this first chord, A, D, F sharp, A. Left hand's going to cross over and play D, F sharp, A, F sharp. And if you look at your right hand, we're on those same exact notes down here. So just take note of that. Okay, so D, F sharp, A, F sharp. Move to the second chord. Left hand is now A sharp, D, E, G, E. And take a look at what your right hand is. Once again, those same exact notes. So again, A sharp, D, E, G, E. Move to our third chord now. I'll give you a hint, we're playing the same exact thing we played for the first chord, that D, F sharp, A, F sharp. However, this time we're starting off with a B. So B, D, F sharp, A, F sharp. And I remember to add that B in there because this third chord here, instead of playing this A, we're playing a B. So that's what signifies me to say, okay, yeah, remember to play that B first before playing that D, F sharp, A, F sharp. All right, for the next chord, we're on C, D, G, A in the right. Left hand, we're going to play G, C, D, G, A, G, D. And then for that next chord, we move the C down to B. We're playing the same exact thing, but we're replacing the C with the B. So instead of playing G, C, D, we're going to play G, B, D. So that's what tells me, again, when I move this C down to B, now I know the second time around, okay, play G, B. So again, G, B, D, G, A, G, D. Then for your last chord, it's that same thing. A sharp, D, E, G, E. So I'm going to recap all that nice and slow, no talking. All right, so just kind of combining all that, how you would play it, obviously, is you just start off with the left hand and the right hand, and then you're just going to cross over, come back down here. Yeah, so just kind of that crossover idea, and then we move on to the second half of the transitional riff. So the good thing about this is the right hand stays on the same exact chord the entire time. It's just A, D, E, A. And again, just top to bottom. Left hand, play low D octaves. Left hand comes up here. Playing a few different notes here. So we have E, F sharp, B, G sharp. And then we come up here to this higher G sharp. And D, F sharp. So D, sorry about that, E, F sharp, B, G sharp, G sharp up here, and then D, F sharp. Again, you're kind of fighting your right hand here with that D. You just got to try to squeeze in there if you can. And then play that same exact thing down a lower octave. It probably sounds terrible with the right hand in there. It's kind of hard to play that slower. So just to recap that one more time: E, F sharp, B, G sharp, higher G sharp, D, and then F sharp. And then from there, your right hand kind of just fades out nice and slow. And then we get into the verse, which I'll go ahead and show you a demo of now. Alright, so as you can see from that, these are the same exact chords we've already learned. We're just going to kind of show you how to play them together and kind of what the melody is. If anyone's familiar with any of the Coldplay song, really, Chris is very has a tendency to just kind of bounce back and forth between his two thumb notes here. But pretty much what you do with your right hand is you're just going to play the entire chord and then individual thumb note, and then once again entire chord. Do that 4 times. On the 4th time, though, you just play the lower or the higher 3 notes. So it's full chord, thumb, full chord, thumb, full chord, thumb, and then just the higher notes and then lower. Just like that. Putting the left hand in there. We have just D octaves. So immediately after you play that thumb, right thumb right hand thumb note, you play that, the left thumb. Just kind of that bouncing motion I talked about. And then right here, you're kind of just gonna do this little walking down thing. So the transition there is just, so you have that right hand top 3 notes, right hand thumb, left hand thumb, and then just play this A before you transition. And then when you transition, you just play D octaves once again. And this just keeps going on, the same exact pattern, you're just moving those right hand chords around. So just like that. And then we have a little bit of a change, so that just repeats, keeps going on. I think for the last half of, or the last half of the first part of the verse, he'll do this thing where he just kind of I'll pause for a second right here. Something like that. But then we repeat once again, same exact thing. And then we get to the lyric, feathered by the crowd. So everyone's allowed right here. And feathered by the crowd. We just had this little riff. It's just E, D, A sharp. We just go back to that first chord, and then we have this riff right here. This part can be a little bit tricky because your hands are doing something a little bit different, but your right hand will start with that. So you're on this D chord here, and all you're gonna do is keep the A and D, and just move this F sharp. So let go of this high A right there. So just play A, D, F sharp, and just move this F sharp up to G, G sharp, and then A. Left hand, similar pattern here, just move this D up to D sharp, E, F, F sharp. I lied about that. It's not F sharp, sorry. It's D, D sharp, E, and then F. I was thinking of a later part in the song. So it's just, yep, so F right there, and then we just go back down. Just like that. And then for some live version variations, he might just play octaves at that part for the left hand. Kind of depends, but there's that part there. And then before we go into the chorus, we just have this. So right hand, A, E, A, followed by A, D, A. Left hand is just C sharp, and then A. And again, depending on the part of the song, this might be octaves. I typically just do single note for this first pass. All right, next we go into the chorus, which sounds like this. All right, so you can see we have quite a few new chords introduced here. So starting off, left hand we have G, D, G, right hand B, D, G, B. And just kind of bouncing back and forth between those two hands. I'm not going to get too much into depth on like how to play because it depends on the studio versus live. Hopefully you can kind of pick it up as we move throughout, but kind of just bouncing back and forth. Just kind of like that. So that part right there, we're just going to shift our right hand down. Play A, D, A. Then as we transition to our next chord, right hand plays A, then G octaves. Left hand is F sharp, E octaves. And then you'll recognize this chord right here. And kind of same thing. Just bouncing back and forth a little bit. And then we have A sharp, B in the left hand. I'm going to show you with octaves, but I will say for this first chorus, I tend to just play single notes, and then as the song develops, add the octaves in. I'll just play octaves now, just to make it easier. So we have A sharp, B. Once we land on B, the right hand shifts to C sharp, D, F sharp, A. And then from there, we're going to move our left hand up here to B, F sharp, B. So from the beginning here. So just like that, and then we're going to shift this C sharp in the right hand down to this B, which I suppose you could just let off the C sharp. But I tend to just kind of shift it down like that. And then we kind of loop back around once again. So I'm going to start from the beginning of the chorus, just play it a little bit slow. And you can see right there, I'm kind of, especially this part here, more with this chord. You know, you play the full chord and then just kind of bounce back and forth, which again, this is a theme throughout the entire song, is you play the chord and then play, you know, like the top three notes and then that thumb note there, just bounce between it. But there's that first part, and then we repeat the same thing. I will say for the studio version, for this second part around right here, he does this kind of thing where he'll play these two thumb notes, you know, more individual. So something like. But pretty much the same thing though. Same chord. If you want to play that instead. And then same thing right here, so pretty much just repeating the same thing. So we have that G chord, and then we go down to the D chord. And then from here, instead of playing the A sharp, B, this chord changes right here. So before we went A sharp, B, now we're going to go G sharp, A in the left hand. The right hand chord is going to be C, D, E, A, I believe. Yep, C, D, E, A. So, and from there, we're going to move our left hand up to A, E, A. And then we're going to shift this C down to B. And then we go back to that G chord. And then from here, have but will touch down soon. So with left hand, we had this little walk up. It's G, G sharp, A sharp. And then the right hand just shifts to A sharp, D, A. And then as we lead into the next part of the chorus, or the refrain, we just have single note in the studio version, left hand D, E, so, for, and then now. We'll touch on that in a second, but I just want to say right here for the live version, instead of playing the individual note, sometimes he'll play in his right hand. Same thing, you know, D and then E, but on the E you play that A as well. So that's a little live variation right there. But before we move into that last part of the chorus, I just want to kind of recap from the beginning the first part. So nice and slow, no talking. All right, now moving on to this part here. So for now in this crazy world, that part there. So we're on that D chord. And we're kind of back into that same melody we were playing in the verses. Just bouncing back and forth. So there's the first chord. So in this crazy, on crazy, we have left hand B, D, F sharp. Right hand is G sharp, D, F sharp, G sharp. So, in this crazy world, I do. So on do we have G, D, G in the left hand. Right hand is A, D, F sharp, A. So I do. So right here we transition. Can move up and hit this E right there. And then we're just shifting to this last chord. All we're doing is left hand, D goes to E. So we have G, E, G. Right hand, we're just shifting this F sharp down to E. So we have A, D, E, A in the right. So just those two movements right there. And there's that. So once again, in this crazy world, I just want you. And then we circle back into verse 2. And from here, the song pretty much just repeats up until that next transitional riff. There are a few differences we have for the chorus, or the verse 2 and the second chorus. So moving into verse 2, we just have those chords that keep going. So this is where Will comes in with the drums. And we just, same thing as before for verse 1. But right here, once we get to this C, D, G, A, so Guy has this little bass melody, little waterfall melody he played in the first verse. He plays it again here, and this is what I was talking about in the beginning with the piano stems. Is I had no idea piano was even playing this part, but you can hear it very quietly in the stems. Is Chris will kind of mimic that same melody. So all he's doing is once he gets to C, D, G, A. So he's playing is F sharp, G, F sharp, and then D, E, Actually, sorry about that. So it's F sharp, G, F sharp, E, D, and there's kind of a space for a second, so, and then A, D, and that D is our next chord. So playing that with this part here. So this is right before the lyrics come back in. So right here we have "In the End It's All About." So just kind of recapping that real quick. So basically you're playing this note. When you play G, so F sharp and then G, you play that right hand chord, and then you finish off the melody. So F sharp, E, D. Then I mentioned there's a space right here. That's where you play your right hand again. And then A. And then when you play this D, you shift back down to that next chord, the B, D, G, A. So once again from this part here. So I recommend just kind of practicing that riff first to get that down. And then from there you can add that right hand. And then once you're on that, you're just back on the same path. So in the end, it's all about. Love you're sending out, same thing. And then right here, we have the, walk up. So again, you can add the octaves in there if you want. And then we move into the chorus. And again, this is pretty much the same thing as before. We just have a few extra notes I noticed in the studio version, and then even in the live version. He kind of adds his left hand F sharp octaves in quite a bit more. So for example, when you go down on the right hand to ADA, you can also move your left hand down to F sharp octaves. That's pretty much it though. Everything else is the same. But like right here, for example, before you move into the second repeat, you can go. So just playing those F sharp octaves a lot more. But everything else, the same. I will say right here for the second time around in the studio version, he doesn't play this G, he just plays G sharp, A sharp. I don't know why it's kind of a different thing, but it is. So instead of, there's no extra G in there, it's just, but everything else is the same. Then we loop back around to the verse or the end of the chorus, the refrain. Same thing. So in this crazy world. Then we have I Just Want You, and we have the transitional riff number 2, which I'll go ahead and show you right now. Alright, so you'll notice for that first part, it's the same thing as before. We just have the A, D, E, A, and we're just kind of, same thing there. If you want, you can throw in the octaves down here. But now we transition to the next part, which is the pattern here is left hand. You're just going to play octaves, and then a chord. So octaves, chord, right hand, we're keeping the same pattern here, just going top to bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep the E and D in the middle and just shift around the top and bottom notes. So for example, this first part, we're on A, E, D, A there, and then we go down to G sharps. And then back up to A, So that's the right hand pattern there. I'm not going to worry about, or I recommend not worrying about getting that, little walk down pattern in first. I recommend learning these chords with the right hand positions. That way, your brain's linking everything together. Then from there, you can go back and kind of practice that little walk down part. So just going to start off with each chord. So left hand, we have B octaves. Right hand, we have A, D, E, A. Then left hand comes up and plays F sharp, A, B, D. Next chord, left hand goes to E octaves. And then this E chord, E, G sharp, B, E. Right hand, you're just going to shift these A's down to G sharps. So E, and then next up, we go back to that first chord. So left hand plays B octaves, and that chord there. Right hand is back on the A's. Left hand, same thing for this next part. We just go back to E's. So E and then E chord. I will say in Gabriel's tutorial, he omits this G sharp. So I've kind of been doing that as well. Just play E, B, E. Right hand, we're not going back down. We're actually going to go up. So now we're on A sharps. And then from here, we play G octaves, followed by G, D, G. Right hand, you're going to move these A sharps up to B. So you have G and then G, D, G. Then from here, we go to C sharp octaves. Right hands shift down to A's. So we're back on that first kind of main chord there for the right hand. So left hand C sharp octaves. And then we jump up to C sharp, G sharp, C sharp. Then we move down to C octaves. Right hand is staying on that A, E, D, A. Then we kind of just play like a G note, followed by C octaves once again. And then from here, a little bit of a change. So left hand just goes to F sharp octaves. That's it. Right hand, we have a little bit more of a stretch. Before we've kind of just been moving, the higher notes. Now we're going to shift a little bit. We're going to play G, E, C sharp, B. So play that. You're going to play that 4 times. And then we shift to once again, keeping the middle notes. So we're keeping E and C sharp. And we're literally just moving G down to F sharp and then B down to A sharp. So A sharp, C sharp, E, F sharp. Once again, play that like 4 times. And we're on the F octave still. So that's that part there. Then it just kind of just ends. So I'm going to recap that entire thing a little bit slower. No talking, just so you can kind of get a sense of the entire thing. Alright, so hopefully that wasn't too bad. I will say, as you kind of learn this song and you speed it up, it's a little bit harder to slow it down here. But the next part is the instrumental bridge, and this is definitely probably the most challenging part of the song for sure. So let's go ahead and see a quick demonstration of it, and then we'll jump into it. All right, so this, in my opinion, like I said, is the hardest part of the song. Usually I kind of break it down right hand, then left hand. I'm going to show you the right hand alone first just because it's very simple octaves. And then once you kind of have that memorized, we're going to throw the left hand in right away because I think it's important to learn both at the same time, as there's a lot of patterns you can kind of pick up doing both hands. So starting off with the right hand, we're just playing simple octaves. And the kind of pattern here is we're playing the first, whatever the first note is, we're playing that twice. So in this case, start off is D. So we're playing D, D, followed by C sharp, and then F sharp twice. So 5 notes, so 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. That's kind of the pattern right there. Next up, play that once again, same exact thing. Now for the third time, we're going to play B, A, and then D. And then for the fourth time, we're going to play B, A sharp, and then C sharp. So it's D, C sharp, F sharp, D, C sharp, F sharp, and then B, A, D, and then B, A sharp. Sorry, it's once, so B, A sharp, and then C sharp. We repeat that, same exact thing. This time though, we do something a little bit different. So second time around, instead of playing B and then A sharp, we're going to play B and then A and then C sharp. So, recapping from the beginning, no talking. Then to finish it off, we just, same thing. D, C sharp, and then F sharp. Play that just twice like that, and then that's that right there. Alrighty, throwing the left hand in here, I'm going to go ahead and apologize ahead of time because I'm probably going to make a few mistakes throughout this, as it's a little bit tougher to slow it back down once you're used to kind of playing it up to speed. But we're going to start off, left hand is on B, D, F sharp. And now before with this song, and actually a lot of other songs too, the main pattern I'm used to is playing the top 2 notes followed by the lower note. It's the opposite for this part, so it's going to be B and D and then F sharp by itself. So that's your first part. And I recommend just kind of doing that maybe a few times just to get used to that. Like I said, we're going to throw the right hand in here because I think it's important to learn both together. So we're starting off. You play the D octaves with that left hand B. Then you play that left hand chord, the D and the F sharp. So after that, so you play B and D, F sharp, and then B and D, and then E. Next part. So left hand goes to a C sharp, and that's on the C sharps as well, so it's nice and easy to remember. And then right here, left hand plays a single note B, right hand goes up to the F sharps. And then right here, the pattern is kind of just switching back and forth between both hands. So we play that B, F sharp, B, and then F sharp. So that part right there, we're actually going to play a single note F sharp, followed by D, followed by E. So this part for me was a little challenging at first because you have to move your fingers a little bit, and you actually have to shift back down to this D. So my fingers kind of wind up right here. So I play F sharp with my thumb and then D with my pointer finger, and then we're going to shift to we play F sharp, D, E, and then we're on left hand is B, D, G. Right hand, we're on those Ds again. So F sharp, D, E, and then right here, you can see our thumb is right there on G, our pinky on B. We just got to remember to move this pointer finger down to D again from the beginning. This time a bit of a reverse. So we're playing the top note with the D. So we're playing G with D, and then the rest of the chord, the B and the D. So let's play that twice. So right there, so we go C sharp, followed by a single note G. So C sharp octaves, single note G. And similar pattern here, so we play single note G, F sharp, single note G, F sharp. So there's kind of that first part there. Again, I apologize for playing it over and over. It's just, again, it's hard to kind of, backtrack and just jump into a specific point. You're used to it with muscle memory, so that's why, for me at least. All right, so we just finished with the right hand F sharp, bouncing back and forth between the G. Next, we're going to come down here. I'm going to do a little walking pattern with the left hand. So it's G, A, D. And then here, left hand is going to switch to playing just individual notes. So we start with G, D, G. And we're kind of just going to walk up and then walk back down, just like that. Right hand, we're on those Bs now. So what we do is we're going to play the right hand with that first G note, play D by itself, and then play those Bs once again with a higher G. So just play on the G. Then back down to D, and then right here, so we kind of break the pattern here a little bit. So we play the right hand A octaves, followed by that single note G in the left hand. And we come up to the D octaves here. So it's D octaves, this higher G, and then D octaves again. So kind of like before how we bounce back and forth between the G and the F sharp. So G, D, and then right here, same walking pattern we did before, the G, A, D, same thing there. And then here, we play the same exact pattern we just did. We're just changing notes. So instead of on G, D, G in the left hand, we're going to be on F sharp, C sharp, F sharp. And then the right hand obviously changes to the A sharp and then C sharp. So kind of recapping that part from the beginning, we have those individual notes. And then once again, those same notes. And then we just shift down. So again, same pattern there. We're just playing on the F sharp, C sharp by itself, on the F sharp once again, C sharp by itself. Then it's right hand alone. But we're on the A sharp there. Right hand, left hand note on the F sharp. And then we go to the C sharps in the right hand, Left hand, we play individual F sharp, the high one. And back again to C sharp. And then right here, before we loop back around, I'm gonna play F sharp, G, C sharp. And that brings us right back to the beginning. There are a few changes the second time around, but I'm gonna play that entire thing a little bit slow, just from the beginning, just so you can kind of get a feel for it. All right, so the second time around we have a few changes. If you want, you can play the same exact thing, you know, but if you want to kind of spice it up a little bit differently, what you can do is right here. I also want to mention that I might have mislabeled that. It might be G, F sharp, and then a B in there. I'm not sure if I said that correctly. Just keep that in mind. I think I taught it like this. It might be, instead of G, F sharp, G, it might be G, F sharp, B. So just keep that in mind. Check out my Synthesia cover if you want kind of like exactly what I play there. But basically for here, the second time around, instead of going to G, A, D, this lower D, just play this higher one. So G, A, D, like that. And then right here, you can see there's a little bit more space here. So all I'm doing with the left hand is kind of playing each individual note. So you're playing G, D, G, then individual D note, and then the entire chord. But you're playing it with, so you're playing G with your right hand, D by itself, G with your right hand, you play the single note D with your right hand A's, and then when you go up to D, play the entire chord. And finish off with that right hand. And then same thing, but just shift that chord down to the F sharp, C sharp, F sharp. And here you can play the full chord or just octaves. Just remember to play the A instead of the A sharp there. And then from here, we repeat the same exact thing. This time though, as soon as we hit those F sharps, that's it. And then we cut to the next part of the instrumental bridge. But I want to go over a few different possible live variations here for this part. Again, like space-wise, that's kind of just something that I learned from Gabriel. Chris might continue the same pattern there for that second part. You know, like I feel like he kind of just mixes it up depending on like what he feels like doing that day. But that's pretty much it for that. And then we also can do, there might be an E instead of a D for the part right here. It's hard to tell. It sounds like something changes here for the second part. So it sounds, so right now we're playing this, but it almost sounds like there might be an E here. I'm not really sure. He might say on that E. It's kind of hard to hear, but I just wanted to put that out there because that could be a change. Instead of playing B, D, G, it might be B, E, G. Just not entirely sure there. And then another change for the live version, kind of the main change actually for the live version, is he will start off lower. So pretty much your right hand's gonna play the same thing. But he goes lower. So we'll start off right here. So right here we have the, but instead of being on these B's, he actually shifts down an octave, which is okay because your hands aren't gonna overlap here. So instead of being Up here, you're just going to shift your right hand down. And then he goes all the way back up here. And then same thing, he'll come back down. Then he goes back up once again. So just for that second part, he'll shift octaves down. And I thought at one point he might even be way up here playing. It's kind of hard to hear. But yeah, that's kind of the main change there, is he'll shift down for that second part. He'll come lower. I actually like that a lot. I didn't do it in my cover, but I do like playing that version a lot. It sounds really good. All right, now for the second half of the instrumental bridge, which sounds like this. All right, so now for the second half of the bridge, it's a little bit interesting because it's not played as straightforward as I thought it was before. Kind of like... there's kind of this extra note in there. You can hear in the AI isolated stems, something like... So I kind of just tend to play this top left-hand thumb note right there. But we'll go over that in a second. I'm just going to teach you the chords first. So starting off, left hand is G, D, G. Right hand, A, D, A. Then from here we kind of just walk up. Left hand goes to A, E, A. Right hand is B, D, B. And then from here, left hand goes to B, F sharp, B. Right hand is C sharp, E, C sharp. And then finally we arrive. Left hand, F sharp, A, C sharp. Right hand, D, F sharp, D. And this chord is a little bit different from Gabriel's in his tutorial. I think he had it at this here, which sounds really good, but if listening to the studio version and that isolated piano track, I'm pretty sure it's like this chord right here, just because it sounds a little bit different. But you could also play B, F sharp, B if you wanted to instead, but I play this chord right here. So let me just repeat that again. So we're just walking up those chords like that. All right, so going over how to play that in the melody wise, it's pretty much bouncing back and forth between your hands. So we're starting with, so we're going left, right, left, and then we're leading with our right hand. So our right hand will jump to that next chord first. So right hand jumps right there to that next chord. Left hand follows with the individual thumb, and then the rest of the chord. So left, right, left, right, left, right. So do, 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 just like that. And then you kind of continue the pattern there. So, and then right, left, left. So same thing here, right. Once we get to this top chord, we don't really do that, you know, that little walk down anymore. We just kind of stay on that chord there. So left, right, left. And then we have this little walk down here. It's A, G, F sharp, C sharp. And then in between there, we can kind of throw that left hand in there a little bit. And then we just circle back around, same thing. And then kind of a live version variation here might be, he might play the same thing in the left hand right there. So, oops. So you can do that as well. Just play octaves all the way down. But that's kind of that part right there. Again, I recommend just getting those chords first, and then from there, you can try to practice that melody. All right, so for the next part, we'll land down here on G octaves. In the left hand, right hand is G, B, D. We're kind of just gonna, rumble those chords a little bit. Then we're gonna shift to left hand F sharp octaves, right hand B, E, B. And this is the fun part right here. So I'm going to show you these individual notes first. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to hit individual notes and kind of bounce your right hand back and forth. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to show you the individual notes first. So we're starting off with G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, walking right up to D sharp. Just like that. And then right here we're kind of crossing over, so we're coming down to B, going back up to C sharp. So crossing down to B, going to C sharp, going to A sharp, going to B, and then down to the G sharp. And then we end on that A sharp there. So that pattern there is once you get up to that D sharp there, you're just gonna kind of skip. You're basically going back down those notes, but you're skipping, the note you just were on. So you're skipping the C sharp, and then you're going back up. You're skipping the B, then you're going back up to the B. You're skipping that A sharp, But to simplify it, not overcomplicate it, it's just. And you end right there. Like I said, in the meantime, your right hand's kind of spamming the B, E, B. I kind of find it hard to hit this B with my left thumb in there, so I usually omit that and I just play E and B. So I'll start off with the B in there, for example. So, and then right there, I kind of take my thumb away. But if you can squeeze it in there, it's great. So once you land on that, we're going to play the same exact thing, but we're going to go down and play these lower octaves right here. And we're going to start on F sharp twice. Then we move up to the G sharps, and from there it's the same thing. And then we land on the F sharps. Right hand's the same, B, E, B. So, recap that part from the beginning. Kind of just end like that. Again, rumble the keys a bit. And then before we go into the chorus, we have what we did before. So left hand is C sharp octaves, A octaves. Right hand is just A, E, A, A, D, A. That leads us right into, or the guitar solo rather, but it's actually just the chorus once again. All right, so the guitar solo is pretty much the same thing as the chorus. However, there is a small change at the end. So going over that real quick. Again, we kind of have some more F sharps in here for this part, but everything else so far is the same. And then once we get here toward the end of the guitar solo, we get a bit of a change here. So once we get to this D chord here, we have a little bit of a walk up here in the left hand. So before we went to this chord, this time we're on this D. Left hand, we're going to walk up to D sharp, E, F, F sharp. The right hand, very simple change. We're just taking this F sharp here, moving it down to E. That's that part there. And then from here, just move the D down to C sharp. And then we go back into the third chorus. Alright, so of chorus 3 we have a few changes here. We start basically on that same G chord right there. So up there in the heavens. So Galileo saw reflections, and then on Of Us Two, we're going to walk up. So left hand goes to A, E, A, right hand is C sharp, E, C sharp. And then right here, the reflections Of Us Two. Left hand goes to B, F sharp, B, right hand is D, F sharp, A, D. This chord actually sounds a little bit off to me when playing with the studio version, so it might be something else, but this is just what I was able to figure out, so that's what I play there. So Of Us Two, and then as we switch to the next chord, left hand we're going to hit C sharp octaves, and then go to that D chord, so left hand is D octaves, right hand A, D, F sharp, A. This is the satellites in view part. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow the melody here with the right hand. So we have this full chord here. We're going to let go of the D and just play A, F sharp, A, and just play F sharp down to E, down to D, and then down to C sharp. So satellites, and then M. And then on that C sharp, the right hand is going to go to F sharp octaves. So satellites, M, right there. We're back to that G chord. Then we just kind of repeat the same thing. Here, small change though on when he says green, red. In the studio version, he goes down to the A, D, A. Play that twice. So the purple, yellow, green, red, orange, and the blue. Now it's A. So on A, we have F sharp octaves in the left hand, right hand A octaves. So it's A. So 3 chords here. Crazy world, it's true. We have left hand A, E, right hand A, C sharp, E, A. That's the first chord. Second chord, left hand, move this E up to an F sharp. Right hand, just shift to C sharp and the E to D and F sharp. So it's A, F sharp in the left hand, A, D, F sharp, A in the right. And then finally, just move these F sharps up to Gs. So it's there's those 3 chords right there. And now what we're doing, playing them, is we're kind of just hammering that left hand. And the right hand is kind of just playing initially, and then like right before as a transition. And then right here, for that third chord, right hand hammers. Here, as we transition to the climax, left hand we're just going to go to C sharp octaves, F sharp octaves, and then G octaves. On the right hand you can play A, E, A, D, A, and then when we play G octaves, we're just going to go back to that G chord. Now I just want to touch on some live variations that he does there. The main thing is the satellites in view part. I think he just goes up an octave, so instead of playing it down here, he'll just kind of jump up one octave. I just play it up here, and I think he just plays a single note in his left hand, so I'm pretty sure he's just following the F sharp down to the C sharp. So that's a variation you can do as well. And then also for the live version, for this part here, he's hammering that both hands at the same time for the entire thing. And then that part there. So you can do that as well if you want for the live version. That's pretty much it though, and now we move into the Climax, which I'll play a quick demo for you right now. Alright, so this part is, I know I keep saying this with a lot of parts, but this part's probably my favorite part to play of the song. It's great, it follows that melody. But we're back on that G chord. Left hand's going to stay on G, D, G. Right hand, you're going to come up here. So this part right here is a little bit different from Gabriel's as well. I think it follows the melody a little bit more structured. It's what I could kind of hear in that AI piano isolated track. So it's just pretty much just playing octaves with one note in the middle. Again, classic Chris, just kind of making that a little bit different instead of just octaves. But it's F sharp, A, F sharp. Go down to E, A, E, followed by D, G, D. And then we're back to that first G chord, the B, D, G, B. So just F sharp, A, F sharp, E, A, E, D, G, D, and then just back down there. Left hand, you're kind of just going back and forth between the lower note and the top two notes. So second time around, instead of going back to the G chord, we're going to go to the D chord. So left hand D octaves, right hand A, D, F sharp, A. And then right here, we're kind of back to the first part of the chorus. So we have A sharp, B. Right hand goes to the C sharp, D, F sharp, A chord. Now right here, really cool thing we can do. So you play that chord first. Then we're kind of going to bounce back and forth between the top three notes and the thumb. But the thumb's going to shift around a bit. So we're just going to play chord, C sharp, chord, B, chord, A. Now right here you can play B again, so go back up to B. But in the studio version, instead of that B with the right hand, we'll just play octaves, F sharp octaves in the left hand. So that's usually what I tend to do. And then left hand right there is kind of just kind of hitting that little F sharp note right there. And then right there we just go back, repeat the same exact thing. And then right here, a little bit of a change up here. So before we went to that D chord, we're going to go to the same exact chord, but left hand is going to play A and E. And then we have this chord here. So left hand then goes to G sharp octaves, right hand just goes to B, D, F sharp, A. So just move that A in the thumb up to B. So from this part again. And from here we just loop back around to the refrain. So same thing. In this crazy world, same chords as before. Just keep repeating that twice. right here, I'm going to show you a quick demo of the outro riff. All right, so as you can see here, this is where the piano stems kind of blew me away, because I couldn't hear this at all in the studio version with all the other instruments. But Chris is playing this little bass melody down here, copying Guy. It's just A, B, D, B, D. And it's kind of hard to hear in there, but again, it is there. He doesn't play it in the live version, but he does in the studio version. So what you do is you just play that. So A, B, D, B, and then on D, right hand's on A, D, F sharp, A, left hand comes up, you can play D and F sharp, kind of keep that same pattern of just bouncing back and forth. And then right here, you're just going to move the F sharps up to G, then same thing, play that little bass melody. You can play that right hand chord on that first A note. So we play this a few times, then we get to just end on this chord here, the D chord right there, and then we go into that little transitional riff. Once again, same thing as before. Same exact thing, that repeats, and then we kind of just end. Just let those A's kind of, slow down, and then we break for the second outro riff, which sounds like this. So just a few chords here for the outro riff. Left hand's very easy, we're just doing octaves. Starting with C, and we're just going to walk down B, A sharp, A, G sharp, and then G. So literally just C down to G. Right hand, we just have a few chords that change. So first chord, we have A, D, E, G. And we're just going to kind of bounce back and forth between the higher notes and the thumb. Left hand, we're just kind of hitting those octaves and letting them sit. Your second chord, left hand goes down to B octaves. Right hand, you're just going to shift the A and G up to B and A. So we have B, D, E, A. Next chord, left hand's going to shift down to A sharp octaves. And then right hand, this is the second chord we learned, the A sharp, D, E, G. And then from here, left hand shifts down to A, right hand goes to the D chord, A, D, F sharp, A. And then when we shift the A octaves down to G sharp, right hand, we're just going to move this A up to B. And the final chord, left hand goes down to G octaves, right hand's going to play A, D, E, A. Then we end with just the left hand D octaves, right hand A, D, F sharp, A. Now some different live version things he might do is he might, I think he plays, sometimes he'll play this thumb, kind of like in the verses, he'll play the thumb with the chord. Like that. I personally like kind of going back and forth. He also might play the left hand a little bit more. Like he'll play it more like the verse, kind of bouncing back and forth like this, stuff like that. Again, I just tend to play it just straightforward, nice and slow. But those are some different live variations you can do as well. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at the ending riff. All right, so this ending riff is a little bit different than Gabriel's version. What I did was I looked at the Howard Stern performance, and there's this perfect last shot of Chris playing the ending riff. You can see the keys and you can see the hammers. So what I did was I know he's starting on this D note right here. So I just counted the hammers back to kind of figure out what he's playing. And you can tell he's only playing like 2 notes with his left hand. So what I do is I just have this D right here, and then I'm just on all these notes with my entire right hand. So D, C sharp, B, A, E. What you do is you hit D, then you kind of slide down, C sharp, B, A, E. Left hand comes in here and plays F sharp. And then right hand just goes back up to E, A, B, D. And then here right hand just plays C sharp, B, A. Left hand comes into play again, plays G sharp. So from the beginning. Doesn't sound great slow, so you just kind of speed it up a little bit as you practice. But you play that twice, and then that's pretty much it right there. Just play that twice, and that's the end of the song. All right, and with that, we have arrived at the end of the tutorial. My voice is pretty much shot at this point. I've been recording for a few hours. Hopefully I can cut the lesson itself down to underneath an hour, but I doubt it. We'll see. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for sticking through to the end. I know this is kind of a tough lesson. Hopefully you can kind of take your time. Again, I recommend stacking it piece by piece, part by part, and from there you'll slowly be able to build up to the entire song. And it's a really fun one to play. It's absolutely gorgeous, and the piano in it is just fantastic. All right, and like always, I'll have a link to the Synthesia lesson as well as my cover, just in case you want to watch the song from beginning to end without any talking. I personally find that really helpful when you're trying to learn something. You just want to see it, start to finish. I will also leave a link to the Synthesia file itself, just in case you want to pop that into Synthesia or some other program where you can kind of slow the file down and just kind of look at it part by part. I find that very helpful as well. I did that with Gabriel's, so again, I would not have been able to learn this song without him, so huge thank you to him once again. Also want to thank my buddy Ethan for the isolated piano stem. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well, just in case you want to check it out. And yeah, that's going to be it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Good luck to you, and I'll see you in the next one.